G'day. Today I'm going to have a rant about photography. We're going to look at 5 things that photography is about and 5 things that it isn't about, but experts tell you it is. We'll start with what photography is really about. The first one is happiness, enjoyment, satisfaction. Why would you bother spending your time doing something that made you feel like a failure or depressed? If your goal is to be happy with your photography, then the next point is very important. Point 2, doing what you want rather than what other people want. Taking photos for other people will frustrate you because you're tying your happiness to theirs. Trying to please others is a recipe for deep unhappiness. But take photos for yourself. And how does that work in these days of instant Instagram photos? Well, simply by ignoring the expectations of other people. Try this. Don't upload your photos. Rest your Insta page for a month. Look at your photos by yourself, on your own computer. Note what makes you smile. Note what makes you happy. Note what makes you enjoy an image. The third thing photography is about is experimenting. Try new techniques. Many of these won't cost you a cent. Take time exposures. Try macro photography. Make a light box. A couple of desk lamps and a bit of cardboard will do for that. Have some fun with light painting. See what you enjoy doing and do more of that. Now the fourth thing about what photography is about is growing yourself. At your own pace, in your own directions. Others will want you to do what they do. So find out what makes you smile and do more of that. Look at your images. Sort out the ones that catch your eye and make you happy from the ones that are meh. Then follow the direction of the images that you enjoy. Time is the best teacher. Give yourself time to learn as you go. Now the fifth thing about photography is memory, showing later generations daily life as it is now. How often do the most mundane photos catch your eye? Well, if they're 50 or 60 or more years old, very often. Take photos of your life as you live it, not just for yourself, but for your grandchildren. Now we'll come to the 5 things that photography is not about, but experts tell you it is. Okay, number 1, sharpness. This is the biggie, numero uno, the word on everybody's lips. How sharp is that lens? How sharp are your photos? You will be judged on this. The reputation of lenses rises and falls on this. And I can tell you, this is the biggest load of crock in the modern world of photography. And this fetish about sharpness is a relatively recent disease. And I say disease because it brings dis-ease to photographers who get sucked into this lie that without sharpness your photo is a failure. Let's go back to the greats of photography, to the revered names that drop off the list of other photographers who would like to be on that list. Henry Cartier-Bresson, Robert Capa, not his real name by the way, Ansel Adams, Dorothy Lang, Robert Frank, Gary Winograd. The photos these greats took are very often blurry, crooked, out of focus, and by today's critics they would be discarded as being unprofessional and amateur, because today sharpness is king. Sharpness rules over story, it rules over feeling, and it rules over reality itself. Chasing sharpness above all cuts you off from what photography is really about. Chasing sharpness also ruins your enjoyment of really good lenses, because self-appointed critics will toss aside a lens they deem not quite as sharp as another lens. Chasing sharpness is the biggest fool's errand in photography today, and critics are fools. Now the second thing is validation. Taking an image that others would like. This is also a relatively new disease. It's a result of the ability to let the whole world see your images straight after you take them. The downside is it can be like a drug, and you're always chasing that high of dopamine when you see the likes climbing. The downside gets even worse than that. If you take and upload photos in the effort of getting likes from other people, you're not taking photos for yourself. You're not taking photos that you enjoy. Now the difference is simple. If you won't be happy with a photo if it doesn't get 1,000 likes, then you won't be that happy with the photo yourself. Take photos that you are happy with. Then, well, you can share it with the world. And if you only get 5 likes, ask yourself, is that important? Do you still like that photo yourself? Grow to be stronger in what makes you happy. If others like it, great. If they don't, well, it wasn't taken for them anyway. The ultimate goal here is to take photos that you enjoy and not let anyone else see them. And that may come as a real shock to some of you. We get so conned into validation from the rest of the world, but that brings dependency and addiction to outside validation. You don't then take photos for yourself, for your own satisfaction. You just take them so the world can pat you on the head and say, thanks for that 5 seconds of distraction, now go away and make me some more. Is that what you really want? Now the third thing that photography is not about is actually split into 3. Acceptance, judging, gatekeepers. Oh dear, now I'm going to upset numerous people. There's a power structure in the world of photography today, and it's a fake one made by people who want to be self-important. Let's start with YouTube reviewers. Firstly, I won't call them photographers because they don't do photography. They've chosen to review camera gear because it's an easy way to pretend some knowledge, to gain a following, so then they can feel important. They are conning you. And without naming the biggest con artists, I'll instead tell you what they do. They keep the suckers coming back for more. They do this by always talking gear. I've heard some of them whine about why there isn't more new gear coming out more often. This is a clear tell that every bit of camera gear that exists doesn't mean a thing to them. Anything old is rubbish, that is to be ignored. Only the latest is worth any consideration. These people aren't photographers. They're con artists who review gear and tell you to buy through their affiliate links below. You are the mark to their con. Some even say things like, I've changed gear I use because Sony brought out this new lens that's slightly sharper than the lenses I have with my Canon gear. So I've sold off all my Canon gear and I've now bought all this Sony gear, which you can buy from my affiliate links below. They're con artists. They also want you to believe they are experts who are worth listening to. Somehow they think that reviewing a lens for a week makes them a lens expert. Same with camera bodies. Remember that many of these con artists aren't even photographers. They're YouTubers, plain and simple. They've chosen to make their money by hosting a YouTube channel, and camera gear looked an easy thing. So, who says they're experts? Well, they do, of course. If they weren't experts, would they have a YouTube channel telling you they were experts? Now we come to the more serious world of judging, in the world of real photographers. Now I must preface this by saying I am a very happy member of my local photo group, the Yarra Ranges Photographic Society. In fact, I was president there for a couple of terms. And one of the things these groups do is have judging nights, sometimes called evaluation nights. Members submit images on a particular subject, and a recognised judge from a pool of available judges is asked to judge or evaluate the images. So far so good, but then things can go a bit pear-shaped. because the sharpness rot has set in even at that level. So many times I've heard judges evaluate an image primarily on how sharp they think it is. Terms like pin sharp or pixel sharp float around the room. If an image doesn't fit the sharpness box, then whatever else it's good with is discarded and that image is beyond hope. Judges also tend to be rather conservative. Give them anything that's sort of outside the box and they can flounder. I've seen judges literally struck dumb when looking at some images and they're completely at a loss for words, simply because it may not be a nice safe image that doesn't stretch them. Now I have to make another admission. I once entered an image in an open competition. The image was a bit unusual. It did, however, still follow some basic rules like rule of thirds, but the judge took one look at it, declared it was a joke and a waste of his time. Now if I'd needed validation for my work, or was a beginner wanting some bone of praise or help, then I would have been crushed. As it is though, I have a good dose of humour and self-belief, so I've put the moment in my funny stories for parties section. Judging really needs to get back to what photography is about, telling a story through image rather than a contest of who uses the sharpest lens. Now that brings us to gatekeepers. These are self-appointed people who make proclamations of what is acceptable in photography and what isn't. You can find most of them hosting their own YouTube channel. They will tell you who are the best landscape photographers, what's the best camera lens combo for portraiture, the only acceptable focal lengths for street photography. Luckily these gatekeepers only have the power that you let them have. You could cower in fear of their judgments, or you could ignore these puffed up little pretenders and do what makes you enjoy photography. Now the fourth thing that photography is not about, but you wouldn't know it with the amount of YouTube videos on this, is new gear. No one recommends old gear. You can tell the con artist from the real photographers by the way they salivate over the latest gear and dismiss the gear that they were all excited about 6 months ago. A real photographer will happily use what works for them, even if it's not the latest and greatest. If you think your photography will only make you happy if you're using the latest and greatest gear, you've been sucked in by these con artists on YouTube. And now, the last thing photography is not about is wanting to take photos like someone else. Now it's fine to learn from others, to see why different photographs make you happy, but you will never be them. On the upside, they will never be you. Only you can be you, and only you can take the photos that you take. So go out there and take them. Now I don't have ads on my YouTube channel, I don't sell things through affiliate links below, but if you like what I do, click like, subscribe if you haven't already. You can throw me a bit of love, buy me a coffee at www.buymeacoffee.com/GregCarrick. But whatever you do, pick up your camera, take it for a walk and have some fun. Bye.